Alright, so we'll continue inshallah Azza wa Jal today. إننا نوينا التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والدعاء إلى الهدى والضلالة على الخير والحث والتمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praise that's worthy of a beneficent bestower of bounties and favours. And we ask our Lord Most High to send copious and eternal blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, amma ba'd. And we acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, if we continue, firstly just make sure that our intentions are straight inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure that inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala we're focusing on Allah and we're doing this for the sake of Allah. So it's the ilm al-nafi' to get beneficial knowledge, to learn it inshallah in order that we can practice it bidnillah in our lives. So قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم. He says وَاعْلَمْ أن السعادة موقوف على حصول القرب من الله سبحانه وتعالى وحصوله موقوف على اتباع الحق واجتناب الباطل أبدا. والنفس مجبولة بأصل فطرتها على كراهية الحق والميل إلى الباطل فلا يزال من همه تحصيل السعادة في حاجة إلى الصبر تارة بحمل النفس على اتباع الحق وأخرى بحملها على اجتناب الباطل. So he says in this, the one with the gentleman on the front of it, page 111 in the middle, he says, know that happiness depends on the occurrence of nearness to God, which in turn depends on always following the truth and avoiding falsehood. The soul is by its very nature inclined to detest truth and lean towards falsehood. The determination of the seeker of felicity is thus always in need of fortitude, sometimes to force the soul to follow the truth and sometimes to force it to avoid falsehood. So if we look at what Imam al-Haddad is saying, he's saying that happiness, and happiness isn't just sa'ada, doesn't refer to happiness as just always smiling and laughing all the time, but it's more a state of contentment, where one isn't seeking and yearning things, for example, of the dunya, for example. They're happy with the radiyallahu ta'ala anhum wa radu an, that Allah was pleased with them and they're pleased with Allah. So it's that rida, that state of contentment of saying, yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm satisfied with my lot in life. I'm satisfied with where I am in life. I've done my best, inshaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala, up to this moment in time, and I'm content with that. And of course, inshallah, I could have done more, and I ask Allah to give me more, yet I'm still content. I'm still content with my state, with my condition with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in terms of the capacity that Allah has given me, the tools, the intelligence, the body, the soul, whatever gifts I thought that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me. So it's mawquf when he says here, it depends. And mawquf means it's contingent. It's a little bit more than depending. Depending, I suppose, it can be interpreted that way, but it's contingent. In other words, for a person to reach that contentment, to reach that tranquility, to reach that happiness, to reach that person's pleased with what's going on around them, they're not, always thinking, I want more and tomorrow and bigger and better all the time. They're not overtaken by that. It's contingent upon gathering, what does it say, the occurrence, husul, getting. Right? On getting from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is again active. It's an active verb. Husul. Getting something, getting al-qurb min Allah. Nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what he says, of nearness to God. Okay? So, to get happiness, in other words, or to be content in life, one has to have what? Nearness to Allah. Without nearness to Allah, one will never be happy. One will never be content, satisfied, satiated, if you like. One won't get to that stage. There'll always be, because that's what the soul, that's the driving force. And we've spoken about it many times in class that, people that climb high things and people that jump off high things and they dive to the depths of the ocean and raise things quickly, and, even the people that do cups, they do it real quickly, and all these great things that people do, they're seeking that, to fill that void in their soul. And they might give them some ephemeral, like, external sort of pleasure and contentment, but deep inside, it's not there. It can only be attained by nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the Western world, there's a dearth of that. There's no real sort of spiritual focus. There's no, look through the tradition of the Western world, all it is about conquering, really, conquering and building, which is, it's not necessarily in and of itself a bad thing. It's good Allah wants us to move forward. Subhanalladhi allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. How transcendent is the one who taught humankind that which they didn't know. Allah wants us to use our intelligence. Allah wants us to build and have technology, but it's got to be for a good purpose. So, if you look at the Indian tradition, they've got the Hindus and the Zuhud, they have the asceticism they have, and you look at the different traditions, the Asians, they have the Buddhism, but when you look at the Western tradition, you don't really have much. There's a little bit there from the Christians in the early stages, but it's not something that's being carried on. It's not something that's being brought in Islam. You have Tasawwuf and Sufis, and you have a lot of Zuhud, heaps of it. It's throughout our tradition. I'm just saying it's not there. It is there in Christianity, but it's not at the fore. No.
It's actually quite the opposite, where you have all this self-esteem movement with Tony Robbins. It's quite the opposite of Indian traditions, and so where it's all about the opposite of self-esteem.
Right.
Where it's all about God.
Exactly right. It is the opposite, and that's why we're in the situation. The Western world's put the world in the situation that it's in, because it's about me. It's about self. It's about ego. It's about getting more and having more and doing more and taking more and making more and using more. It's consumption, which is akhwan al-shayateen, the brothers of the devils, wa na'udhu billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Western people, to get spirituality, they didn't go to the Vatican, or they went to India, or Sindh as it was called, which is all Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, that area. They went to Nepal, the mountains, to sit with the Buddhists. They went, in the 1800s and the 1900s, they went to the Muslims and sat with the Muslims. And so we're from that tradition, whether we like it or not. We're from so that dearth of spirituality, in other words, a void. It's not there. It's not that when Allah Azza wa Jal is driving us. That's driving us as a society, and it's driving us off the wall, off the cliff, into the wall, off the cliff, to the depths, wherever you want, to the ocean, to nowhere, to destruction, really. Because no matter how much an individual has, the soul can never be satiated, it's always going to feel anxious unless it has Allah, like Imam al-Haddad saying. And nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَحُصُولِهِ مَوْقُوفٌ عَلَى اتِّبَاعِ الْحَقِّ وَاجْتِنَابِ الْبَاطِلِ أَبَدًا. So now he says that happiness, tranquility, is only attained by nearness to Allah. And nearness to Allah is only attained by one way. Ittiba' al-haq, which is following the truth. Ittiba' is more than just following, it's embodying. Embodying the truth, wa ijtinab al-batil, and avoiding falsehood. And that's in all aspects of our lives. So technology that's useful, we embody that. But technology, for example, we use it and we live by it. But technology that's detrimental, then we stay away from it. So it's not just it's an advancement. Advancement in what way? Material way. Okay, that's good. That's one aspect of it. It's good to have money, alhamdulillah. Allah loves the mu'min who's strong in all facets. But what's the detriment of it? There's pros and cons. There's positive and negative. We have to weigh those up before we go and use those things. Even when guns first came out, pistols and all those things, the Muslims said no. The Muslim scholars said it's haram to use guns, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Qur'an, the only one that kills with fire is Allah. And what's guns? Gunpowder that goes off and it sends a bullet, it's fire. And then the Muslims just kept getting routed in wars, and they said, oh, if we don't use guns, we're always going to be invaded. And so they said, okay, no worries. Then Muhammad al-Fatih came along, 1460, forget the year anyway, 1400-ish, 60s. And then he built the biggest cannons ever built. So we went from a stage of going, it's haram to use weapons, to the stage where our technology and our advancement was so far ahead of everybody else that they broke the wall in whatever it was called, Constantinople or whatever, and became Istanbul. So, and you know, even the way the walls, if you go there, the walls are like as thick as half of this room. They're huge, mashallah. Like you can imagine back 600 years ago, 700 years ago, 1492, I can't remember which year it was, 51 or something. Anyway, so we don't, if the technology is there, we look at the pros and cons of the technology. We don't just use it absolutely and we don't reject it absolutely. We're not a nation, like we're hearing from some people, some Muslim quarters, we're not a nation that lives in the dark ages. We're not a nation, that rejects progress in that sense. If there's, for example, taqaddumat, progress in terms of agriculture and more people can eat, then why not? What's wrong with that? If there's progress in terms of energy efficiency and more people can, you know, have light and whatever else, if it's beneficial, what's wrong with that? If there's progress in terms of fuel efficiency, producing fuels that, for example, don't damage the ozone and don't damage the ecosystem and whatever else, what's wrong with that? There's nothing, or phones or whatever it may be. In its essence, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, now the usage of it, if it's used for, you know, evil means, so to speak, or means that are detrimental to human beings, that's a different story. But in and of itself, we're not against technology. We don't want to live in the time of the 7th century. We want to live in the state of the people who lived in the 7th century, yes. Internally in our hearts and in the way we deal with people and the way we... Because the hadith is there. I forget which Sahabi, he bring lamps into the masjid of the Prophet of Allah. This is the dalil, this is the evidence for it. He bring lamps into the Masjid al-Nabawi so that they could pray at night. And what did he say? He said, Nawart al-Islam. The Prophet of Allah didn't say, yeah, good on you, now we can pray Maghrib and Isha and Fajr. That's what we would imagine if we were talking about non-technology human beings. He would have said, thanks, mate, now we can pray. He didn't say that. He said, Nawart al-Islam. In other words, you enlightened the whole of Islam. Because that means Islam is about those things. It means not that we focus on those, but that's part of what we are. And if you look at the first, after the Prophet ﷺ till about 200 or 300 years ago, basically the majority or a very high percentage of progress in the whole world was with the Muslims. The Westerners just to come to the Muslim lands to study. They had to learn Arabic. Like now, Muslims in the Muslim lands go to the West and have to learn English to do anything. It was the opposite back then. So they used to come, there weren't any universities in the Western world. The first universities were in Fez, for example. I forget what her name is. A lady, she started the university in Fatima, yeah. I can't remember her last name. Anyway, she started the first university, al-Qura, and then there's al-Azhar and all these huge universities that are still going. There was no new universities in the Western world back then. They took that concept from the Muslims because they were all learning there, and they took it back. So, for us, and we have to understand that it's the state that we're in, it's the connection that we have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're after. That's what matters to us. And then we take all that's good, truthful, and we reject all that is falsehood. And if we don't do that, we can't be close to Allah. If we're not close to Allah, we'll never be content, we'll never be happy. And then this is a pretty heavy-duty statement that Imam Haddad says, وَالنَّفْسُ مَجْبُولَةٌ بِأَصْلِ فِطْرَتِهَا عَلَى كَرَاهِيَةِ الْحَقِّ وَالْمَيْلُ إِلَى الْبَاطِلِ. Says the soul, by its virtue, soul is by its very virtue or very nature inclined to detest truth and lean towards falsehood. Now, jubila means that's how it was made. It was made. That's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala basically made the nafs. And when we talk about the ego there rather than the soul. So the ego was made, it just has the notion, why do you think the ego rejects truth and likes falsehood? Open question there.
Because nature is to be above all.
Yeah, that's a good answer, definitely. Its nature is to be, it's all about me, nothing else? No.
At that point, the nafs is the closest to the physical aspect of things. So what he wants to do is keep getting closer towards
Materialism.
attached to materialism.
Fair enough. Anyone else have any thoughts? Why is it that the ego likes falsehood and rejects truth? Ego is earthly, yeah, okay. Which is a bit similar to being like all of them are mashallah. It's closer to the first statement that the ego, if it accepts truth, truth is against the ego. Right? And falsehood is what the ego wants, because it can do whatever it wants and there's no limits to it. Like it can debauchery and whatever. There's no limit to the corruption and whatever else. That's good. That's what the ego likes. But truth goes against the ego. It shrinks the ego, shrinks the effect of the ego, shrinks the power of the ego. And so, of course, the ego doesn't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to do what Allah wants me to do, which is the truth. I want to do what I want to do, which is falsehood. All right? So he says that. Then he says, فَلَا يَزَالْ مَنْ هَمَّهُ تَحْصِيلَ السَّعَادَةِ فِي حَاجَةٍ إلى الصبر تارة بحمل النفس على اتباع الحق وأخرى بحملها على اجتناب الباطل. He says the determination of the seeker of felicity. So probably felicity is a good word for sa'ada, a better word than all the other words we used. Is thus always in need of fortitude. Okay? Because the nafs is going crazy, so to speak. We may think our nafs isn't going crazy, but it is. And the more we become in tune with it, the more we understand the craziness of the ego. And even people like who studied psychology, they say the grandfather of psychology, Sigmund Freud, he even talked about it. He talked about the ego, the id and the super id or whatever it was, I forget, back in the days, you know. He spoke about it. And he's saying that it was a bad thing. Right? The thing's bad. And the guy was a cocaine or heroin addict. He didn't believe in God. And yet he came up with that through study and through research. And that's the way of Allah Azza wa Jal. There's two ways to get to Allah. By looking at the natural world with an open mind and an open heart and realizing that everything leads back to Allah, or by revelation. It's one of the two. They say al-Qur'an al-Mastur and al-Qur'an al-Mabsut. Qur'an al-Mastur is the Mastur, it's got lines. That's the Qur'an that we read, the book of Allah. And the Qur'an al-Mabsut is the natural world around us. Whoever looks at it properly, and all the scientists, Copernicus and Einstein and Edison and all these huge scientists, they all accepted there was something greater than what we were seeing. Some of them named it God, others said, no, we don't know what it is, but something huge, because the universe is too great not to be in that state, not to be, controlled by something greater than the natural world that we see around us. So the seeker is always in need of fortitude, sabr, to control the nafs on what? And he says it. Sometimes to force the soul, or the nafs, which is the ego, to follow the truth, or maybe a better word, to swallow the truth. To cop it. You've got to accept it. And the other side, and sometimes to force it to avoid falsehood. Because it's got a miyul, it's got an inclination towards falsehood. Because falsehood is I can do whatever I want. If I go on falsehood, you know what I mean, then there's no limit to what's going to happen. And unfortunately, that's the world in which we live. This is the common statement that you hear. The cause of all wars is religion. This is what you constantly hear. Religion is the cause of all problems. That's what you hear that all the time on social media and all. Well, actually, it's not. Actually, it's the other way around. It's politics and the love of power that are the cause of all wars. That's the cause of all wars. You tell me, when was the last time there was a war for religion? Maybe the Crusades? Tell me. When was it? When was the last war for religion? Who knows? A long time ago, but that's for sure. Whatever you want to say. And even that wasn't, even the wars that the Prophet went into, he was trying to avoid the wars. He said, let's have a treaty. Just let us be who we are, and you be who you are. Let us go to your lands and do da'wah and call people to Allah. Whoever accepts. Whoever doesn't accept it, that's okay. We don't have a problem. No, you can't come. If you come, we're going to kill you. Well, that's not fair. We want to, we want to have freedom of speech. Now that there's freedom of speech, we don't need to do wars anymore. So that's what we're being told. Right? Religion causes trouble. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Ask Muhammad al-Fatih. We just spoke about him. After he got into Constantinople, what did he do? He went to the church and he said, the Hagia Sophia, and he said, "These are all free from me. Don't worry about me anymore. Whoever wants to practice, whoever wants to practice. Whoever wants to sing, sing. Whoever wants to dance, dance. Just do whatever you were doing." And he made sure that they were protected from, because Muslims sometimes, the less intelligent ones, they go a bit nutty. He made sure they were protected from those ones. He made sure. And they say that the scribes and the priests and whoever else, there's heaps of letters when you go there to Istanbul, inshallah you go, and you go to the museum there from Muhammad al-Fatih. You can read them all there, what they were saying, how great he was and how great life was after that rule. So if it was bloodthirst and bloodlet, what would have happened? They would have dropped the bomb. Who died in the whole history of humanity? They say that more people died in World War II than all the rest of the world, all the rest of the wars combined in the history of humanity. That's what the historians say. Was that about religion? No, it wasn't about religion. Okay? One of the biggest mass murderers ever is Stalin. Right? Did he believe in religion? No. What about Mao Zedong from China? It's actually the opposite. When religion is gone from a society, that's when you'll see what happened in Stalin. That's when you'll see what happened in Mao Zedong, these communist regimes there. When religion goes, because people lose their morals. And guess what's happening to us in the Western world? The more religion goes down and there's less effect of the people's lives, the more we allow injustice. Hello, that's what the man was saying. Yeah, because why? We're following our egos. Right or wrong? If you don't agree, tell me. It's only my theory. Right? So the less religion there is, the less people to stand up. Right? Now let's say, for example, about this, the vote for the homosexuality thing, you know what I mean? Do we want to have a marriage or we don't have a marriage? Now I'm just using that as an example to illustrate the fact about morals and standards and ethics. Okay, we as Muslims, we already know we don't accept any type of marriage except between a man and a woman. And us as Muslims, we have a religious objection, a moral religious objection to what's going on in terms of allowing that to be legalised in Australia. But I'm talking about the people that don't have a religious objection. The majority of those, what are they saying? Yes. Why are they saying yes? Let the people live. Live and let live, which isn't a bad thing in and of itself. But what is it going to lead to? Whatever. We don't know yet. That's the problem. We don't know. Well, that's the question mark. We don't know what it's going to lead to. We don't know. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Right? So, like I said, I don't want to enter. I'm just giving an example that's going on around us to illustrate to you that religion is that thing. Deen. Believe in Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the thing that saves humanity. That's the thing that saves humanity. And they go, oh, what about all the tribal people? Go and check them all out. Every single tribal people, pagans, whatever you want to call it, they all believe in something. They all believe in something. All of them that I've ever heard of. The only ones that don't believe in anything are Westerners, pretty much. They're the only ones. No, nothing. We just came from, what is it? An amoeba, a cell or something like, and we just, came out of nothing and we go back to nothing. You're worth nothing. Or worse, climbed down from the trees and whatever the case is. But we're the first time in history that's the case. Like people, even the pagan religions, they believed in Zeus and they believed in whatever they believed in. They still had something, right? So that's the point I'm trying to illustrate. So what my friends and whoever I know who are not Muslim or not religious, they're saying, which makes sense. I'm not criticising those people either. It makes sense to say that, yeah, just let them do what they want. Fair enough. But what I'm saying is, that's what happens when religion's not there. That things lose their keel, so to speak. Someone had a question? Right? So things lose we don't know which direction we're heading, and we don't know where that direction's gonna lead us to. And I'll give you an example. In the family law, they said in 75 in Australia, no fault divorce. Just go and get divorced, doesn't matter. Because before it was a fault. Like a man had to fulfill his right as a husband and his role and duties, just like we have in Islam, and so did a woman. If she didn't, or he didn't, then there's an issue. Well, I'm going to go and complain to the court, that the person didn't fulfill it. Issue is evidence. How are you going to get evidence to prove it, or whatever. So they said, don't worry, no fault divorce. And they said, I'll just give custody to the mum. So what was happening, that the fathers that didn't have any time with their kids, on average, there was only like 2 or 3% that were seeing their children more than 2 or 3 times a year. It was like an extremely low number. So they had to go and they had to change the law again to allow the fathers to spend time with. So what I'm saying is that when we do things, so to speak, without a basis, then we're going to get into a situation where we're going to make a mistake. And what is that mistake going to cost? It's going to cost people's lives. It's going to cost the quality of life. And it might even cost lives, committing suicide, all these types of things. And as we said, a corollary of that statistic is that 81% of people in jail, men in jail, 81% had no father figure in their lives. And I'm just saying, I'm sure there's thousands of other statistics that would show this. This is one that I know and that I want to. So because of that law, it didn't get changed to 2006, mind you. So from 75 to 2006, what's happened to a generation? Right? So that's what I'm saying. But deen, religion, especially like our faith, because it's got the asnad, everything goes back. It's a science more than it is a religion, really. When you look at the jurisprudence, more correctly, of the deen, it all goes back. It's there. Not to say we don't make mistakes. Yeah, we do. And like I said, with the shooting of the guns, they said it was haram. Then they had to change their status. So don't fall for it. When someone says, "Oh, religion is the root of all," I say, "Yeah, World War II, World War I. What was that all about?" It was actually World War I was about the destruction of religion, and that's Islam. World War I was about the destruction of the Khalifa, the destruction of the Ottoman Empire. And whoever denies that hasn't read their history. It's clear in history. So it wasn't to establish religion, and that's the beginning of the end. That's the modern period for us. That's the beginning of the end. And I don't mean for Muslims either. I mean for humanity. That's it. Once that force that was there, that had that trajectory that goes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's about truth and about justice. Not that the Ottomans always did the right thing. I'm not saying that either. They killed each other. They poisoned each other to see who's going to be the Khalifa. There was debauchery going on and drinking and whatever else inside the presidential or the Khalifa's palace. I'm not saying they were perfect. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that when people follow those moral and ethical standards, then society's different because the individuals are different. They're going against their ego. And when a person goes against their ego, they're inclined to do justice. And that doesn't also mean that a person, an individual who doesn't have a religious focus is evil. I'm not saying that at all. Or can't find justice. They can. But what I'm saying, collectively, it's a difficult thing because everyone is after what then? Right? Everyone's after what's best for me. And that's called democracy these days. I vote for what suits me. I vote, and if you want to look at what all the biggest wars and terrorism happened, is from democracy. The beginning of what they call modern history is 1788, 89 with the French Revolution. They wanted democracy. They made a thing. They moved. What did they do? Right, murder, terrorism. If you want to use a word, it's called terrorism. When you go against the state. And they killed everyone who was ever related or had any relationship to the royal family. Everyone. And the SARS in Russia happened a little bit, that was a bit later. Okay, United States of America. How did it get founded and become independent? Terrorism. Terrorism. The redcoats. Right? They went against the British. They got the tea, they dumped it, the Boston Tea Party, they dumped it in the harbour, in Boston Harbour. And they said, we don't drink no tea. That's why they drink coffee, which is a Muslim drink. So it's good, alhamdulillah, right? So they dumped it. They said, no, we don't want to follow you guys anymore. And there was a war. They shot them. They got rid of them, and that's it. They got their independence. What's that called today? It's called terrorism. So that's exactly what it's called. And the SARS and the Chinese and the Russians, in other words. And. So when you hear that, don't fall for it. it's the opposite. People of religion, they're ready to sacrifice, and others, but the majority, like we're talking about majority. There's heaps of people like Rachel Corey, I don't know if you know her name, you should know her name. She went and she stood in front of the bulldozers in Palestine because they were going to bulldoze a village, and it was a Palestinian village. The Israelis, no, this is American, they just ran her over, they didn't care. Whatever. So there are people as individuals, but the groundswell of the society, of the thought in the society, and that's all being perpetuated by Facebook. I don't think Facebook's better than, you know, the Murdoch press and whoever else, these big, you know, Trump press, and I don't think it's any better. It's individuals who are already indoctrinated. They already think like that, ego, me, and they're individuals, and you think, oh, it's an independent opinion. Why independent? That person's a product of their environment. So all they're doing is spewing forth in their own way with their own tint, when they're the same, perpetuating the same wrongs. When the society is perpetuating. So don't think you're getting anything independent from Facebook. Don't fall for that either. The only place you're going to get anything independent from is the one who's independent of all things, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the only one that's going to give you anything independent. And what he told to the Prophet ﷺ, and what you figure out and you work out for yourself. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to work out the way. So when we talk about the nafs and how to direct it and how not to direct it, if the nafs overtakes, if the ego overtakes, there will be corruption. And that's what this world is. 10% of the world, that's us, 10% of the world's population, uses 90% of the world's resources. Where's the justice in that? Where's the justice in that? How can we, but this is the other thing. We from the Western world think we're so laissez-faire, like we think we're so, you know, so good and we're so awesome, and, you know, we send aid to whichever country, but we're the ones who perpetuated the system that made these people poor. There's enough food in the world to feed everyone 4 times over. There's enough money in the world to get rid of poverty like 7 times over. It's there, there's the statistics. So why is it happening? Because it's the system. So how can we in the Western world sit back and say, oh yeah, this is the right system, this is the right way to do things, when the evils, and I use that word specifically, the evils of that system are causing people to, you know, people in countries where there's like, I don't know how many, nearly 1 billion people that don't even drink clean water. They can't drink clean water. And there's, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of children that just need a simple medicine to overcome simple diseases that are basically eradicated in the Western world. So don't get hooked by, oh, religion is the cause of all evil. Because it isn't. It has been manipulated in circumstances to do evil. Yeah, it has. There's no doubt about that. But who's it been manipulated by? Religious people. Is that who dropped the bomb? Someone who's like, you know, a priest did his thing and pressed the button. Are the religious people flying drones, are they? Is that what's going on, and bombing people? And is that, you know? So, like I said, keep it in the forefront of your mind so you don't fall in, because, you know, we're on social media and we're hearing things all the time and we're being affected by it, and it affects our state. Again, to understand and know truth and go for truth, and to understand and know falsehood. The more you understand truth, the easier it is to differentiate between truth and falsehood. The stronger you click onto truth, the easier it is to get away from falsehood. وَنَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. So he says, وَالصَّبْرُ عَلَى أَرْبَعَةِ أَقْسَامٍ. Any questions about that? Any thoughts? وَأَوَّلُهَا الصَّبْرُ عَلَى الطَّاعَاتِ. So we'll just finish this part. So he says, fortitude is of 4 kinds. Firstly, patiently enduring one's perseverance. That's a very nice way to put the definition of the word sabr. Patiently enduring perseverance in acts of obedience. So that's the tough stuff, right? You're fasting and I don't really want to fast, or tomorrow's Ashura, right? Inshallah, the 10th day of Muharram. It's sunnah to fast. The Prophet used to fast, but tomorrow's Saturday, man. I'll hang out and go wherever, and it's going to be hot, want to go to the beach or play sports or suntan or whatever it is that we want to do. But it's Saturday, man, like 4 hours a week, they'll be at work, the day will go quickly. So that perseverance, that pushing oneself to do these things, to do the ta'at, to take with the prophetic causes. Okay? And then he says, وَيَحْصُلُ بَاطِنًا بِإِخْلَاصٍ وَحُضُورِ الْقَلْبِ فِيهَا. Okay, so he says, it is realized inwardly through sincerity and presence of heart. And he also says, وظاهرا بلزومها والدوام عليها والدخول فيها بنشاط والإتيان بها على الوجه المشروع. Says, and outwardly through holding constant to them, showing zeal and performing them in the correct and lawful way. Alright, so it sounds straightforward, doesn't it? It sounds simple, easy. All you do is, if you want to get to the stage where your heart, your soul, your mind, your being, your existence is persevering on and being consistent, having sabr on the ta'at, on those things which are obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, easy. Inside have ikhlas and hudur, presence. And ikhlas is sincerity. You're doing it only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, purity of intention is what ikhlas is. Okay? وَحُضُورُ الْقَلْبِ فِيهَا, and be present. Let your mind and your heart be present. And the second aspect of it, بِلُزُومِهَا, he says, which is pretty good, through holding constantly onto them, showing zeal and performing them in the correct and lawful way. So, that consistency, in other words, istiqamah, consistency. The one is consistent in performing them. وَالدُّخُولِ فِيهَا بِنَشَاطٍ, and when one person, I don't think you really mentioned it, yeah, there it is, by being zealous, by showing zeal, by wanting to do it. Not like, oh man, it's time for Maghrib, yeah, look, I just got to, I'll just download this thing and I'll just, check my Facebook quickly and whatever else. I'll just make a quick phone call, send a couple of messages, then I'll go pray. That's not zeal. Zeal is to be committed to doing it when it's due and performing them in the correct and lawful way. So that means knowledge, having knowledge of how to do it. But when we look at ourselves and then when we say, what's my salat like? Go back to the emotion. Go back to the emotional connections that we have with things. How happy are you when someone gives you a present? How do you feel? Someone, even gives you something or sends you some money or, they give you a gift or whatever it might be. How do you feel about that? Or when you get your favourite meal, how does that make you feel inside? Or when you see someone you haven't seen in a while, right? What's the state? What's the feeling you get? What's the emotions you go through? Right? Elation. You're happy. And whatever else anyone else personally goes through. Okay? So the Imam's saying inwardly, batinan, yahsulu, to get to the state of having perseverance and patience on our worship, on our outward, our things. Let's just stick to salat for a second. When was the last time we felt elation in our salat? So, therefore, the point that I'm trying to make is that if we don't have those same emotions in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in any way, shape or form, whichever type of worship it is, okay? If we don't have those same emotions that we have when we receive a present, or someone compliments us on our appearance or on whatever it might be, on our studiousness or whatever it might be, or something that we like happens to us, that feeling that we get, seeing a friend we haven't seen in a while, how's that feeling that we get? Right? If we don't have that with fasting, if we're not happy when we're fasting, if we didn't cry on the last day of Ramadan saying, Ya Allah, that's it, it's over till next year if I live that long. If we didn't have those connections to those things, then unfortunately we don't truly have sabr on our ta'at. We're not truly persevering. Because we're talking about an inward connection. Okay? And that's what hudur al-qalb is. And so if we look at this and we look at how do I deal with my problems? Right? When something bad happens to me, excuse me. When something bad happens to me and I'm down and I'm upset and I'm cut and I'm angry and I'm frustrated, what do? How do I deal with that emotion? I call up my friends, my BFF, was that over that word, bestie, or whatever we say these days, right? Call up my best mate, hey, whinge. And then what happens to our emotional state when we whinge? We calm down a bit. So guess what? Next time something happens, what do? Yeah, that. What do? Do it again. Why do we do it again? Right? Because it worked the first time. Okay? If we're all upset and whinging and crying and, I can use other words, but I'm not going to, whatever. Okay? Then we went and did that thing. Someone smoked a cigarette. Okay? Someone smoked a marijuana joint. Someone had a drink of alcohol. Someone went and gambled. Someone drove their car real fast. Someone jumped out of a plane. Whatever it is they did to appease themselves of that emotional pain they were feeling because of something that happened to them that they didn't like. So next time what's going to happen? They're going to go back and do the same thing. But guess what? It wasn't as good sometimes the first time, depending on what it was. So it just becomes a perpetual cycle of trying to do that thing all the time to get rid of my emotional state. Because I'm in pain. I'm upset. I'm perturbed. I'm unhappy. I'm unsettled. I'm imbalanced. No, it's normal. It's all right. We're human beings. We go through these things. It's all right. Not a problem. Okay? But if we're in that state, we're going crying and whinging and whatever else we're doing, and we're not resorting to the ibadat, the ta'at, then guess what? We don't truly have sabr. We're not truly connected to our ibadat. Because what did the Prophet say? What was said about the Prophet ﷺ? إِذَا حَزَبَهُ أَمْرٌ فَزَعَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. That anytime he was perturbed, anytime he felt imbalanced, anytime he felt he wasn't going straight, anytime he was upset, anytime something was difficult, what did he do? فَزَعَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. He exploded towards salat. That was his resort. It's the coolness of his eyes, alayhi salatu wassalam. And did he get relief? Of course he got relief. So did he do it again? Of course he did. Did he feel the euphoric state? Of course he did. So unless we're tied to our ibadat in the same way, we're not in the state of having patient perseverance in our ibadat. We're doing it, yeah, alright, no worries, it's done. Good, I just prayed Maghrib, it's gone. Mahag, isn't that what's going through? So if we're not feeling an emotional elevation in our salat, where's the ikhlas and where's hudur al-qalb? Where's the sincerity and where's the, what do we say for hudur al-qalb? Presence of heart. Where is it then? That means what? No connection. No connection, no perseverance. And then we say, oh, my salat, I need something else, man. I need to go and have a holiday. Not to say holidays are bad. They're not. They're good. But what's going through our mind when we have the emotional state? I'm upset. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to see that. I want to eat this. I want to go and have something at that. I want to get a new dress. I want to get a new pair of shoes. I want to, whatever, new phone because I want to feel good again. I want to feel good. Whereas the feel good for the believer, for the person that's on a spiritual path, where's the feel good? In those things. In those things. Amti'at ad-dunya, the necessities for this world, the necessities that we have in this world, they shouldn't make us feel good or bad. They're a necessity. They're a necessity. We just need to have those to live, to function, to work, to operate, to live. But the things that should make us happy is those things from the higher realm, from the celestial realm, from the malak. And so, for example, to calm down, what? What do we do to calm down if we're angry or upset? I'd hope so. I'd hope we do ablution, because that's the prophetic. But what normally happens? Yelling, screaming. I know what some people do, I'm not going to mention. Carrying on, swearing, breaking things, abusing people, reclusiveness, running away. Wait a minute, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? It's Allah bidhikrillahi tatma'inul qulub. Only by the remembrance of Allah do the hearts feel contentment, sa'ada if you like. And then what did the Prophet say? Wudu. Go and make wudu. Don't worry about breaking anything, just leave things as they are. Right? Go and make wudu. And then normally what should you do if you made wudu? Hey, why not? Why not go there? Tell Allah. Cry to Allah. If you cry because you're upset, no, you're not going to get any reward. But if you cry because you're crying to Allah, Ya Allah, help, guess what? Your status gets elevated. Allah calls the angels, look at my abd. Calls the angels. Calls them, look at my servant. Look at my servant. Servant's got problems, coming to me. That's what Allah wants. That's why Allah created us. That's why He created the whole cosmos. So that we can do that. So that we can go and say, Ya Allah, help. Ya Allah, I recognize it's your power. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's your power, Ya Allah. So, in our ibadat, if we're not feeling that things like that, we have to start. Look for that emotional solace. In other words, relaxation in your salat. Switch off. Turn the brain off. And so if you want to use that, if you want to say that the hadith, إِذَا حَزَبَهُ أَمْرًا, if you got stressed out, that's the word I'm stressed out. Too much. Everything's too much. What did Ali say? We went and prayed. Leave it to Allah. Let Allah take care of those things. And including my emotions. Let Allah take care of them. He created them. Let Him deal with it, subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I can't. Right? The Anbiya, they love salat so much. In particular, they say Sayyidina Musa, that he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said, Ya Allah, let me pray in my grave. He doesn't need to pray. But they love it so much because it connects them to Allah. That's their emotional attachment. And there's plenty of hadith that say, Al-Anbiya ahya'un fi qulubihim yusallun. They're alive in their graves and they pray. They're alive in their graves. And there's other narrations that say that they only stay a little bit in their graves and then their arwah, their souls go wherever they need to go. And that's happened in the Isra wal Mi'raj. Didn't the Prophet go to see Musa alayhi salam? Wasn't he there? Then he went to Maqdis, he went to Palestine, and he prayed with the Imams. Wasn't Sayyidina Musa there? Yeah or no?
Yeah.
Remember, think. Was he there or not?
Yes.
Wasn't he with all the Imam, all the Anbiya? And then when he went to the sky, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he got salat, who was telling him go back? Who? Wasn't that all at the same time?
Yeah.
So that's the dalil that the arwah, the souls of the Anbiya, they are alive in their graves, but they do whatever it is they have to do when they have to do it. It's a different realm. It's ilm al-barzakh, it's called, and things go on there. But that's how much they love Allah. Because where was salat given to the Prophet ﷺ? Up there somewhere. Up there. Past the last lote tree. 70,000 veils between the last place where any creation had ever gone and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So imagine that thing. Imagine someone said to you, look, I got this contraption, right, whatever it is, and it's made somewhere like top secret and this and that, and it'll just help you, and you'll be like, yeah, okay, how much is it worth? Like $1 billion. Yeah, all right, no one's got 2 billion here, take $1 billion. Because it's unique, there's nothing like it. That's what salat is, but even more so. Even more so. And then what are we using? Like people are sick so much that we have to have Xanax and all these drugs to calm down their emotions. Because the connection's wrong. The connection's other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever it may be. So inshallah, if we connect our emotions to those spiritual things, dhikr is good, just to say astaghfirullah, instead of cussing someone and chewing them out as they say, or whatever the word is, telling them off. Do dhikr instead. And the more you get attached to that, guess what? The more your emotional level will be stable, and the more you'll feel something from those ibadat. You'll actually love to do it. You actually love to do it because why? It's a buy-sell agreement, right? When you buy something, then you want to get a benefit from it. You buy a drink, you want to feel either sweet taste or sour taste, or you want to have your thirst quenched, or whatever. It's a pick-me-up. It's got caffeine or guarana or whatever it's got in it. You want some benefit out of it. True or not true? Yeah, whatever it is you get. So what? When you spend your time with your friend, don't you want to have some benefit out of it? Laughing, whatever, telling jokes or thinking about the universe or whatever it is, contemplating, whatever you do. What about when you do your salat? Don't you want a reward? Oh, it's gone, that's it. Whew, finished, it's over. I do my dhikr, it's over. Is that what we want to get from our deeds? We want it to be over? We want it to, in other words, what we're saying is, I can't wait till my life's over. We look at, when my life's over, then what? But if I haven't got good deeds to take, then it's problematic. So we want to buy in. We want an emotional buy-in to our deeds. We want to get something out of it. That time we give to salat, that time we give to everything else, we want to get some benefit. We want our emotional state and our spiritual state to change, and our mental and our physical. Have a look now what all the top of the range doctors are saying. Like not just the kind of guys that go along. They say every human being should do grounding. And they say, what's grounding? You should be grounded to the earth. Take off your shoes and walk in the grass. And one time one of the doctors, he goes, grass. I don't know, I don't think we do any grounding. And later on I was thinking, of course we do. We put our heads on the ground. Yeah. Put our foreheads on the ground. It's grounding. We get a physical benefit from it. Physical benefit as well. So leave the physical because we're active and we go to the gym and whatever else, but at least get that emotional and spiritual bond with your ibadat, so you can, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal, take that path to nearness to Allah azza wa jal. Sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sallam. Any questions about any of those things or anything else? All good? So that's it. Done. Don't have to do that anymore, right? We all know that how to get there and what to do. Bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any questions about anything else?